The call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday, and welcome back to the Pod at the Palace. Hope everybody's breathing just a little bit easier with Carter Knox officially back in the fold for the Razorbacks, even though I have the feeling that most of you immediately turn to holding your breath for Adou Thiero, right? And wouldn't you know it, our buddy Adou is just taking it right down to the buzzer here when it comes to the decision. This episode goes out Wednesday morning, bright and early, and Adou has until Wednesday night at 11:59 p.m. to pull his name from the draft and return to Arkansas, or shut that door completely, lock it, wait to hear his name called in the NBA draft next month. That's where we're at. Took it down to D-Day. Oh, well. It's kind of a fascinating deal here because so much has changed without much of anything actually changing at all. You know what I mean? For all intents and purposes, the likelihood remains that Adou is going to stay in the draft, but for what it's worth, as of late Tuesday, I'm of the belief that he has not informed Arkansas of a decision one way or the other. So there's that aspect of it. And, I do think if he had the type of assurances and guarantees that he was looking for to where it was just a done deal, you would think that Arkansas would know by now. But he also doesn't technically have to say anything at all. And it's entirely possible that it happened after my last check. That's just the way this stuff goes. If you remove your name from the draft, people know immediately. Because just like if you enter your name into the transfer portal, it goes into a database, you find it. And the opposite's true here. If you pull your name out of that draft process, all the guys who cover the draft are going to know right away. And, the other thing you got to consider about it too is there's just a finite number of guys left who are kind of in this position, these stay or go decisions. I mean, there's only a few hours left. And so you've got, college basketball analysts, you got NBA analysts, you got draft analysts. They're all texting Adou, or they're texting his agents or whatever. Hey, haven't seen anything from him yet. Where's he leaning? What's going on? What's happening? So again, you feel like if a decision was fully made, it'd just be put out there. Oh yeah, no, he's staying in the draft. Or no, he's going back to Arkansas. So it is interesting. I got to admit. And what we really have going on here, I think, is like a glass half full, glass half empty type of situation brewing again here with Razorback fans. Like the glass half full, I guess, would be that literally every single player in Adou's same situation the last couple of days has opted to return to school. The glass half empty being, does that mean that there's just less competition for him? That would kind of, coax him into staying in. But it's kind of wild to see how this is all played out. I thought it would be more of a mixed bag, maybe. I didn't expect every single one of these guys to stay in the draft by any means, but it's been almost exclusively dudes are going back to college. Darion Williams, back to college and off to NC State. PJ Haggerty, back to college, off to Kansas State. Milos Uzan, going back to Houston. Yaxel Lindenborg, just passing up on what looks like a first-round lock to go play at Michigan. Alex Condon in the same draft range as Adou, maybe a little bit higher even, pulls out of the draft. He's going back to Florida to join a front court with more players than it knows what to do with. It's kind of wild how all these have gone down. And by my math, the only notables that are left with a decision here on D-Day, I think, are Adou, Tahad Pettiford at Auburn, then Jameer Watkins and RJ Lewis, who are both in the transfer portal also. That's it. Crazy. And I will say this, Adou returning to Arkansas can remain unlikely based on everything that we've heard and, inferred about his desire to get drafted and the expectation that he's going to remain in the draft. But him returning also makes a hell of a lot of sense given everything that we've seen the last couple of days. Like it's unlikely because of what we've assumed and what we've heard. It's just felt like a foregone conclusion with his particular case that he just wants to be in the draft. But given what everybody like him is doing and, the state of college basketball, comparatively speaking to the NBA and NIL, competing with some of these draft slot salaries, it would make a lot of sense for a guy like him to return. It would. I mean, like, there's a reason why literally all of these guys are coming back. It's not just something that's occurring out of happenstance here. And yeah, money is a big part of it. Coupled with, the likelihood that worst case with a lot of these guys, the same draft slot is going to be there a year from now. And then best case is you improve on it. And then you make a lot of cash in the meantime. I don't see why Adou wouldn't, have the potential to climb with another really good year and a healthy knee to be able to showcase himself better at this time with, workouts and, combines and all that. But I do think just in general, like the prevailing belief has always been like, well, can you go back to college for a year and improve your stock? It's really, I feel like that shifted to, can you go back and maintain your stock, right? Versus improve it, because there's something to be said, I think, for making more money in college in one season, say being in the SEC, being the man, playing in front of packed houses, being the alpha dog on the big stage, competing for a national title, compared to, back and forth in the G League. And then, you get called up for 10 days or something. You get a bunch of coaches do, DNPs, and you don't play when you're at the NBA squad. I'm just saying, like, if I knew I could still get that a year from now, but I could have one more go around, live in the glory days, I mean, I would probably strongly consider it. And of course there's risk involved with injuries, or man, it just doesn't work out in your favor. You have a bad year, whatever, and things tank. But man, there's also a lot of benefit that just used to not be there. This used to not be a decision that guys had to make. A guy like Yaxel Lindborg, a widely expected to be a first-round draft pick. Those guys don't go back to college, but you do now. Honestly, if you're not a lottery lock, there's really something for these types of players to consider. So, and then yes, on the surface, I could see how, all these other guys pulling their name out of the draft would, if you're a guy like Adou Thiero, it would make you feel like, okay, well, he's going to move up by default. Like there's 5-6 guys right around him who are no longer on the board. Well, I should just move right up. But what you have to remember is NBA franchises don't operate on big boards and, mock drafts over at ESPN or wherever. Like, what matters most is, a particular team coveting you and what you bring to the table at the spot that they pick at. That's what really matters. So it's easy to connect those dots, and to a degree, like, yeah, you would probably see updated mocks, later today or whatever, if Adou hasn't made up his mind, and he'd be a little bit higher. But a lot of times where those mocks value you and where actual NBA franchises value and the the feedback that you're getting can be two very different things. So there's that part of it. And, I've already had several folks in my mentions doing the whole bit about, man, but if Adou comes back, man, Trevin's feelings are going to get hurt. What about his playing time? Man, with all due respect, please miss me with that nonsense. Please. This is a grown man's game. It's such a played out argument that I keep hearing. And I understand. And we just talked about it in the Trevin Brazil episode that we did of this show. So I don't have to go back and rehash it all. You can listen to that if you like for a little bit more context, but give him a little bit more credit for being a competitor. But it's wild. Like, I just listened to an interview with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the MVP of the NBA. And he was talking about how playing for Cal is what changed the course of his career. Completely changed the trajectory because of the amount of talent and the competition day in and day out, just at practice for playing time and nothing being given to him, everything being earned. That's the kind of mentality that champions have. That's what you're looking for here. You know who has two really good power forwards on their roster, on their depth chart? How about the defending national champions, Florida? Alex Condon elects to go back to Florida today. And I wonder if they're biting their nails worrying about, Tommy Hawk's feelings or Ruben Chinyulu's or Micah Handlogden's, or if they're just really pumped up for having a loaded squad again. They had 5 forwards in their rotation last year. They made it work. Everybody played. Mouths got fed. Won a national title. It's not crazy talk here. And if Trevin Brazil is so good and so deserving of this monster role all of a sudden, guess what? He would have it regardless of who the hell else is on the roster. If he's that good, he would play. He would have that role. And if he didn't, it would be because the other guy in competition with him is better, which means your team is better. That's kind of how this works. And then the same could be said the other way around. So just it cracks me up, also, and it's a media thing too that I just don't understand. Like the same talking heads who are doing a glizzy glaze over Condon, going back to Florida, or Yaxel going to Michigan, or any of these other guys returning to loaded rosters, are also looking at the potential for Adou Thiero returning to an open slot on the roster at Arkansas and being like, well, gee Willikers, how in the world will this work without feelings becoming fragile? That's soft, man. I'm sorry. I'm so tired of hearing about that. It's ridiculous. So the way I see it, Adou returning is an unlikely outcome. Like, that has not changed in my mind. But that doesn't mean him not coming back would be the right call, or that it wouldn't have made sense, or they couldn't have made it work, or the money wasn't there. No, it would quite literally just mean that he was over it with school, hell-bent on getting drafted, and that's also fine. But please don't get stuck in the camp of doing the thing where if a dude does stay in the draft, that was just the stupidest thought ever, and it never made sense for him to come back. The team's better without him. There's no need for the mental gymnastics on this one. It can just be as simple as he wanted to stay in the draft, and so he did. And it would have been awesome to have him, but it's not the end of the world if you don't get him. Adou would be the icing on the cake, but you're going to eat your cake either way. Like, it's right there in front of you. Are you screwed if Adou Thiero stays in the draft? No way, not at all. This is still a top tier SEC roster, no doubt about it. But a return would be the type of, oh shoot, kind of move that Arkansas hasn't had this offseason, just because of the way they've gone about things with retention, all the stuff that we talked about. A little bit different. Everybody has their own approach. But it would be that one that really, really moves the needle. That it causes that tweet. John Calipari, the last Corleone. He's not dead yet. You forgot the nails. Put some respect on his name. That type of stuff is what you'd be looking at. It's that kind of, it's a heavy hitter. If Cal got Adou Thiero back, he would be our heavy hitter literally every day for the rest of the year. Be that kind of thing. You'd have people, ranking Arkansas preseason number 1, bunch of Final Four projection, 1 seeds, all that kind of stuff. That's what it would do for you. I want to look real quick, and then we'll go to a short break. I want to go over to Torvik real quick and see what these projections look like. So right now it's got Arkansas at 10th in the country. That's assuming Thiero back. 10th. Not too shabby. Let's subtract Adou and then see how far they drop, if at all. So with all the guys on the current roster plus Adou, you'd be 10th. Without him, Arkansas would drop to 16th. So a little bit of a hit, of course. He's a really good player. Do you drop off the face of the earth? No, you don't. Not at all. All right. Hey, today's episode is sponsored by HD Roofing and Construction. We know they've been super, super busy lately. It just rains every day now in Northwest Arkansas. That's just kind of the way it is. It's always going to be that way. It's never going to change. At least that's how it feels until a month from now, where it's been 100 degrees every day for 10 straight days, and we're begging for a little bit of rain. But with that's come a lot of stormy weather and hail and high winds and tornadoes and all kinds of stuff. And when those storms hit you, be sure to contact HD Roofing for your peace of mind. They can come out there and give you a free inspection. They did it at my house, and I feel a lot better after having it done. When you choose HD Roofing, you can rely on professionalism, top quality materials, and expert installation for all of your roofing needs. Check them out at hdarkansas.com. Give them a call, 501-428-0429 to get scheduled for that free inspection, or just use that nifty QR code up in the top right-hand corner of your screen right there. We're also brought to you by Basis Health, and we know that they're changing the way that healthcare is delivered by providing those mobile medical visits at the comfort of your own home. You don't have to go to them. They'll come to you. It's convenient. It's the way it should be. If you have to go to the doctor, something's wrong. Most of the time, you don't feel good. You're sick. You're under the weather. You're not 100%. You want to get in your car and drive over there. You don't have to deal with the hassle of, waiting rooms and freaking out in a doctor's office. Have them come out to you. Give you a little bit more comfort, right? And they'll come take care of you. Urgent care, primary care, IV hydration, and more. Basis Health, they're here for you when and where you need them the most. Check them out. You can go to the website, basishealth.org, or again, that nifty little QR code right there on the top right-hand corner. I remember the first time I saw one of those QR codes on a table at a restaurant. I'm like, where the heck is the menu? And it was only a few years ago that you started being able to scan the QR code and pull it up. And it's kind of crazy that it took us until, the end of May 2025 to realize, man, we got all these sponsors and we shout out phone numbers and websites and all that's very, very valuable. But why don't we just put a QR code up there that'll take you right to it? So there you have it. We're evolving too, everybody. Kudos to us. All right. And, we talk about the Adou thing here, and that's the primary topic, right? Nobody really cares about anything else at this point until you figure out exactly what he's going to do. Whether you're in the camp that, like me, that thinks it's pretty unlikely that things will materialize there for Arkansas, or if you're the ones there that think that it is going to happen, or you're super hopeful that it happened. Hey, here's the deal. When you have the guy who is your leading scorer, leading rebounder, best defender, all those things, if the door is still slightly open for him to return and he's got, a few hours left to decide what he wants to do, that's all you want to hear about. And rightfully so. And then they'll take it from there. You get him back, you're done. Period. If you don't, do you make another ad? I don't know. We'll talk about that at that time. But what I will say in the last few minutes here, regardless of Adou's decision, the amount of talent that Arkansas is going to have back in the fold from, last season is really the story of the spring in Fayetteville, easily. If you get him back, it's the story nationally, but retention, huh? I mean, what a novel concept this is. It's kind of like Trilly Donovan loves to say, sometimes the best gets are the ones that you already have. And, it doesn't always make for the sexiest or splashiest offseason, as we've learned this spring, after growing very accustomed to Eric Musselman just going crazy in the portal every single year. Comparatively speaking, it's been a little boring. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. No, not by any means. Because retention, it's just such a necessary ingredient in what so many, Final Four and championship level teams have had the last few years. They've built their rosters around it. And I do think that John Calipari really deserves his flowers here on this one. I mean, we're talking about the one and done king here. Huge freshman classes, tons of roster turnover. He invented it, man. I mean, the roster turnover thing, that's, if you look it up in the dictionary, he's the founder. But a lot of his best teams at Kentucky had a little bit of continuity, guys back for a second year or whatever. But he's taking it to another level here at Arkansas heading into next season. For a man who kind of had this reputation for, being stubborn and old school or stuck in his ways, this is one hell of a 180, because as he sees the landscape of college basketball, what's working, and has adopted his roster building strategy around it. So kudos to him for doing that. Very encouraging. I think if you're a Razorback fan, waiting to see things continue to evolve here over the course of the next several years with Cal at the helm. And it doesn't mean it's a perfect process. I mean, yeah, of course there's no perfect teams around the country. You could look around and find things to ask valid questions about with this roster. And we've done it and we'll continue to do it. We talk about it every day. We have to. They have enough depth yet? Did they address shooting? They got enough here. They got enough there. Whatever. But 4 key contributors off of a Sweet 16 running it back, it's nothing to scoff at. And what I love about it is that, these are the 4 guys who were consistently healthy from start to finish as well. And the 4 guys who were really balling late in the, in the year in the NCAA tournament. All these guys were playing really well at that time. So can they pick up where they left off? But if you look at it, like Arkansas is returning 47.6% of its minutes played from last season. That's a lot. Nobody in the SEC played more basketball than DJ Wagner did a year ago. That is a fact. He led the SEC. He might have led the country in minutes played. I mean, the dude didn't get off the floor. So hopefully they can give him a breather every now and again next year, but he's also Iron Man, so it doesn't matter. But that's a lot of minutes coming back. 41.2% of the points scored last season are back. And I do think it's fair to expect all 4 guys to be more productive next season. Some will take bigger jumps than others. Like for, DJ, maybe he's the exception because of his consistency, but can he become more efficient? Maybe a little bit better as a 3-point shooter, cut down the turnovers just a bit, could go a long way for him. Trevin going in his 5th season of college basketball, it's like, well, how much better is he really going to get? Well, can he just be consistently good the way that he was at the end of last season? And you think about those sophomore leaps, a guy like Carter is it feels like he's destined for stardom. Can he take that step? How much better can Billy get? How much better was Billy Richmond from non-conference play to the NCAA tournament? He's a completely different player. A lot of room for growth there with him, no doubt about it. But at the same time, this level of continuity too, it's just going to have Arkansas so far ahead of schedule early in the season compared to last year. Like, you remember how stagnant and gross and awkward the offense looked in the first several games, even against some of the bad teams that they played early on? That shouldn't be an issue this year. Shouldn't. Oh, and how will they make up for what's lost? Because they, there are guys who contributed to the cause who are out of here. Well, let's try a couple of McDonald's All-American 5-stars in the backcourt. Like mixed in with a guy in Malik Ewan, who scored more points and grabbed more rebounds than any Razorback last season. He did it in the ACC at Florida State. And Nick Pringle, who's a multi-year SEC starter coming off a season where he averaged more points and rebounds in the same league than either of your big men did. So there's a lot to be excited here, independent of Adou's ultimate decision. If he comes back, grand slam. I mean, listen, you ain't be able to tell me nothing, man. There's nothing I would love more than to be able to go live some point later in the day on Wednesday and talk about Adou's return and, sending shockwaves around the country and doing it. But if not, these guys are still really good. I mean, you've been listening to a lot of the national folks kind of, going through, reacting to a lot of the news around the country and Carter Knox's return. And most all of them are still saying the same thing. Yeah, man. This Arkansas Red looks like a top 10-ish type of roster. I'll take it. You know what I mean? It's good stuff. And yes, by the way, yes, I saw the Amere Brown stuff. I did. I saw that. Shout out to Nick Pringle for putting this young man on his Instagram in the practice facility and tagging him in it. And, I saw it. The folks over on the Discord immediately did their digging. Who is this guy? What's going on? And there he is, Amere Brown. And it appears he may be one of the walk-on additions to the roster. We'll see. I'm sure they'll make some official announcements on that here in the near future once everything else is finalized, I would imagine. But hey, 5'10", 5'11" guard from Pittsburgh. Friends with Malik Thomas, good buddies with Malik Thomas, based on what you see on social media. And not a bad little player either, especially for these back end guys. You need somebody who's going to come in, be able to run scout team, push you in practice, give you good looks, different looks. And hey man, he had offers from Bryant, Cal Poly, so some mid-major schools out there. So assuming it's official, and I don't know why Amere would have the Razorback men's basketball account, tagged in his bio on Instagram if it wasn't. Like, there's your Aiden Kelly replacement right there. So that's interesting. And I'm sure there'll be a couple more guys like that. And hopefully, whether it's Adou or someone else, they make one more notable addition along the way. But hey, we're getting close. Like, all these guys are moving in. If you look at it, So far, who have we seen who's arrived on campus? Darius Acuff, already in the gym. Malik Thomas, already in the gym. Malik Ewan, in the gym. Nick Pringle, in the gym. Billy Richmond's back. So all these guys are starting to trickle in, man. Exciting times. Exciting times. But hey, we're going to get out of here. And the next time we talk to each other, we will know what Adou Thiero is going to do, for better or for worse. So be on the lookout for that. Appreciate y'all for rocking with us as always. Make sure you get subscribed to the Inside Arkansas YouTube channel. Find us where you find your podcasts. Pod the Palace can be found, Apple, Spotify, anywhere that you listen. And we'll be back as soon as we have some news. Y'all have a good one.